Hello, everybody, and welcome again to another episode of Palm Tree Sports. I am your host, Corey Pujols, and it's brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thank you guys for joining me this Saturday evening. I want to apologize for my last couple of shows. I've been having some technical difficulties with my microphone. I do understand that, and I do apologize for those who have been listening, but thank you so much for sticking with me through all of it. I'm hoping that this show I was able to fix what the issue was. And we'll see soon enough, whether the issue has been finished. If not, guys, leave me a comment. Let me know what's going on so that way I can try to, completely fix this issue. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into what we got started for today. There's going to be a lot of shaking up here going on, guys, as we're transitioning in from the end of the college football season into what's the college football playoff now. What's going on right now? The SEC championship game last minute I saw it was 35-10, I think, at half. Georgia, guys, not too much different than what we expected. Of course, I'm an LSU fan when it doesn't come to them playing Florida. And if anybody was going to have to give them a run for their money, it was going to have to be somebody that can control the ball and have a running quarterback to be able to create lanes of opportunity for their receivers and running backs, which I thought LSU would be the perfect, team to do that. But unfortunately, Georgia's just filling themselves right now, and they are stunting, and it doesn't look good at all for LSU. So, but with that being said, to finish up my announcement for what's going on in college football, of course, the Gators and FSU are both bowl eligible. However, that'll just be one bowl game apiece that they'll both be playing, which means that's all that's left for football for the state of Florida. At least for the big schools to be concerned. Miami did not, make bowl eligibility. They didn't win 5 games this season, and we'll get into that last game in a little bit. It was horrendous, unfortunately, but I just want to address those things since obviously the show will be changing slightly due to that, right? It won't be that as much to talk about as there normally would be. With that being said, I also do apologize for missing last week, guys, but we'll go ahead and talk about what happened last week. We'll get into all that as well. The biggest segment we're going to have today is going to be NFL. We're going to dive into what's going on with the Bucs and see exactly why the Dolphins look so good and why the Jaguars might be surging right now, especially after the last 2 games that they played, okay? The last 2 teams that they played were Kansas City and the Ravens. I'll leave that to be, talked about a little bit later on. So let's go ahead and let's get college football out of the way. Since obviously, like I said, there's not as much to talk about with the fact that the season is now ending. So, all championship games are being played today, including the SEC championship game. Like I said, that game was getting out of hand really quickly. I had a wink at a few of the other games earlier. TCU and Kansas State was my early game of choice. I knew that game was going to be fireworks. It didn't let up at all. It was a great game. Kansas State absolutely deserved to win the game. The quarterback for Kansas State, that guy is something. He's something else, bro. He was good. So that was a really good game. TCU, heck of a season for them, but they lost, and now there's the mind games start creeping in now to determine who's going to be that 4th team. Now that LSU is most likely going to fall out of that, or not LSU, but TCU is going to fall out of that discussion. Now back to the teams that we're going to talk about here on this channel. We're going to start with the Gators. Of course, I'm a Gator. Played FSU, so we're going to actually go do FSU and Florida at the same time. I'll touch a little bit on both teams, talk about what happened in the rivalry game. Well, it was a great game. It was more, I think, than what was anticipated from most people, for people who haven't been watching the rivalry game in recent years, because, let's be honest, like, in the last 20 years, maybe 10 of them have been competitive, because you had those few years that Jameis was there. Those weren't competitive games. They were destroying us. And then we had the games where, we had Will Grier, and right after Will Grier, who we have starting, we were winning those ball games. So, or not ball games, but the rivalry games, I should say. So that's a perfect example of how it goes back and forth. But this game is actually really, really, really entertaining. I was watching, of course, FSU is coming in at 8-2 or 8-3. My apologies. And the Gators are coming in at 6-5. FSU looked really, really good early on, and they continued to just kind of hold that for the most part. Florida fought back pretty much the entire game as much as we could. The game was highly entertaining, but I'll say that the main difference was Jordan Travis for sure. He was just phenomenal. Just as a dual threat quarterback, and made it very hard for the Gators to play football. He continued to extend drives, continued to extend plays, and that's what you look for in a quarterback. And again, that was a perfect shootout between 2 schools that know each other very, very well. came down to which team was better, and we found that out to be FSU for this year, it seems to be. So, good job, FSU. Congratulations. Again, the final score was 45-38, so it was a shootout. It was a good game, and it was back and forth. So, big ups to the Gators, though, for hanging in there with an out-ranked 14th team in the country. FSU, I think, deserves it. They've come a long way this season. Good job for them. Again, there was no mystery to how they did it. Jordan Travis was phenomenal during that game, and that's what you look for at the top of college football. That's what you see: great quarterback play across the board, no matter who the enemy team is, whether it be a rivalry game or whether it just be another game against another team. So, good job for to FSU for what they were able to accomplish against the Gators, and for what they were able to accomplish this season. We'll see what kind of ball they get, and it should be a very, very good ball. It should be a very good ball, especially being ranked 14th. Probably the best 3-loss team in the country right now, barring LSU, depending on what happens here. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's who you guys got in your ball game would be LSU. That would be a heck of a game, FSU LSU. So there's my thought. There's my 2 cents in it. So what's the deal with the Gators, right? So let's talk about this. There's been a lot going on, right? So we have this saying that's been going in and out, right, of Florida. It's called "In Billy We Trust," right? You know what that means. And Billy Napier, that's our new head ball coach, and that's the guy that we have to look towards the future. And if he's going to be the guy to fix the University of Florida, right, it's going to have to start with cutting out situations that happen off the field, which leads me into what happened. If for those who did not know, and of course, being the host here, it's my responsibility to report such situations as this, and it's never ever it's never fun to bring something like this up, okay, guys? So, among the many players that have been dismissed from the team this year, the most recent team dismissal comes in the form of backup quarterback Jalen Kitna, okay? And, guys, it was because he was arrested. The charge, child pornography. So, it's not something that I'm going to elaborate on. It's something that I consider to be disgusting. It's not something that I have a tolerance for or anything that I have sympathy for. I do apologize to those people who were hurt. I obviously, I have nothing to do with it. I can only imagine what that's like, being in that kind of situation. And for Jalen, I just say, kid, that's horrific. I don't know what you were thinking. You lost everything. And you definitely put a bit of a negative feeling there with the University of Florida, because that's not something that you can play around. Zero tolerance type stuff right there. Okay, there's no wiggle room for any type of acceptance of that kind of crap. Okay, guys. So I just feel so bad for all those people affected, including the team. I can't speak on the families, of course, of the personnel, but all I can say is that hopefully Gators will come back better and stronger because of this, and that it's not something that we allow to hang over and we're able to move on. Even though we may have been losing one of our own players, it is what it is, and we have to go ahead and move on and do our best to focus on what we can do to become better, because that's unfortunately all that matters for us. And he'll get what he gets, and we'll call it at that, because I don't want to put my opinion too far into left field. So with that being said, the team will be better because of this. So that's very, very, very unfortunate for us. Something else that's also unfortunate for us is the gossip coming out of the University of Florida that seems to be that Anthony is considering the NFL already. Let me give you guys a second to gather yourself and opinionate what you want. I personally am a fan of the process, okay? Because in football, there's a lot less chance in football than there is in other sports, right? Like, for instance, direct sports that you can control, like golf, like martial arts, like tennis, like baseball, right? Because in all those positions, you're able to, control the outcome, or at least you have an impact to be able to control the outcome specifically by yourself, without the help of a team. Not like basketball or football, where there's a quarterback or a point guard dispersing the ball to people who are able to then do more with it, right? So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because Anthony has all of the tools that you want, but he's a greenhorn, okay? He's got basically no experience. Like, he's a great football player, yes, but we saw what he went through this year. Now, you guys, I'm going to ask you a question. Honestly, think about this. Of all the quarterbacks that you saw play college football this year, how many of them were more exciting than Anthony Richardson? Maybe 2 or 3, right? Maybe 2 or 3. I mean, you got Stetson Bennett, who's playing at a very, very, very high level, right? You have C.J. Stroud, who with Ohio State was playing at an extremely high level, right? And then you can insert whatever third guy you really want there. I'm assuming there's somebody else that's been doing something similar, right, to what those 2 quarterbacks have been doing. But Anthony, by far, is the most exciting quarterback I've seen from the dual threat perspective, especially with some of the work that he's been able to do. Here's what my problem is with that. If that be the case, and that type of excitement hopefully translate to wins, if you go 6-6 and the best win of the season comes in the form of the 7th-ranked Utah, which was the first game of the season, I'm sorry, Anthony. I'm going to be honest with you, bro. You're not quite LeBron James. You're not quite Kobe. Okay? I don't think you can skip the rest of this. All right? I think you need to continue to develop and be able to learn such things that are very key to developing college football. For instance, I'll give you an example of what happens when college football quarterbacks leave too early, right? And how that translates. You have Jameis Winston is a perfect example. I watched him in FSU as a Gator. I had no choice, right? And he goes out after his sophomore year, right? I think it was. Played 2 years in college, I think it was. And he comes out, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers draft him. As a Buccaneers fan, for those 5 years, I can tell you one thing. He knew how to lose games better than 80% of quarterbacks I've watched lose games who were good at losing games, right? Like, you take out quarterbacks like Jamarcus Russell and that one guy who they drafted above Tom Brady who ended up basically like not even playing 3 years, I think it was, before he was out of the league. The point that I'm making is this. Without proper experience, especially without, in general, just active experience, right? Not practicing against your teammates and people that you go to school with and you know personally and this, that, people that you don't know that you're going to have to play against, right? This is the point that I'm getting. Anthony doesn't have that experience. I think he needs these 2 years, right? Then get him, about 30-plus games. Then you start talking about going to the NFL, bro. Because now at this point, you should be able to read defenses. You should be able to, your poker face should be amazing. You should have the Peyton Manning poker face. You know what I'm saying? You should, at that point, you should be able to maneuver defenses properly. So that is the point that I want to make about this. And this doesn't just apply to him. This applies to all the other young players. Because here's the thing. It is about the long-term success in the NFL. Don't get me wrong. That's the goal. But what good does it do you if you end up missing arguably the most important part of what college football has to offer, which is experience? And my last nugget on that is, let's use Tom Brady for a second. Tom was there at Michigan for 4 years. I think it was 4 years. Might have been 5, but I think it was 4. The reason why I'm saying this is because Michigan at the time had 2 really good quarterbacks. And they actually opted to start the other quarterback. You look at the final game that Tom played, he came in late and rescued the team. The team was down, I think, 17 points, okay? To rally back to beat none other than, guess who? Alabama, okay? You can't teach that, but you can learn to control it through experience. So that's my nugget for Anthony. I don't think he should go. I think he should finish his time here in Florida. I think he should continue to leave the mark that he's leaving on college football, so that way when he goes to the NFL, it's not hype. It's not too soon. And it's not going to be confusing for him, right? So let's go ahead and move on from that. I already touched on FSU earlier. FSU played a great game again against Florida. Again, they're ranked 14th after that win. Best 9-3 team in the country, in my opinion, and we'll see what ball game they get as we see with Florida, but obviously FSU should be a better ball game. Hopefully they get LSU. If they do, that'll be a great game. We'll see what happens. we'll touch on Miami real quick, and we'll go ahead and get into our first break of the evening. So as far as Miami is concerned, I mentioned earlier that they did not make bowl eligibility after winning 6 games. They did not win 6 games. They are 5-7 on the season. The last game that they played against Pittsburgh was a horrible outing. I feel completely bad for Miami and the fans of what they had to endure, especially having Pitt come in and completely destroy them, run over them. Again, it was 42-16. I'm saying it to say this. Never before has Miami been so happy that the season is over. This is an example of one of those years. 5-7 again, no bowl eligible, so at this point there's nothing else for them to look forward to except for recruiting for the next season. Guys, you're going to have to recruit for that offensive line. You're going to have to recruit for both sides of the line because obviously winning games in the trenches has not been the forte. Get a running back. Get a couple of running backs. Heck, get a whole offense, guys. All right? Get back to that old Miami way where you guys just dominated everything you did. Defense, scoring, running the ball, whatever the case may be. Find your identity, utilize it, and then go from there. Because, again, Miami, you guys look horrible. I'm going to be honest with you. I touched on a couple of games, 3 total games this season. All right? Didn't even need to stay there and watch too much. You guys didn't know what you were doing at all. All right? Miami, gotta get better. Gotta get better. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into this first break. Again, thank you for joining me this Saturday evening on Palm Tree Sports. Again, my name is Corey Poole, your host, and it is brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Keep it locked right here, guys. We'll be right back in 2 minutes, okay? Thank you.
Lopan, they didn't even want you. Heck, they didn't even want me. But you know what? Right about now, they have no choice. Looking for the real sports talk? Talk that's for us, the people? Look no further. The Wait a Minute Show, a prime time sports comedy cocktail that tucks you in at night. Join me and Lopan Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the 2livestewsradio.com and Saturday 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Wait a Minute Show.com. Sounds like a plan to me. Ain't that right, Lopan? Indeed.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you again for joining me on this lovely Saturday evening here, South Florida. This is Palm Tree Sports, episode 13, for any of those who are keeping it with the number. I just want to say thank you for all those who are supporting us and who tune in on every Saturday. Let's get into the meat of the conversation today, which is going to be the NFL, obviously. There's a lot going on with the Bucs, a lot going on with the Dolphins, and a lot going on with the Jags. So we're going to go ahead and knock it down in that order, starting with Tampa Bay. Tampa's 5-6 right now, okay? We're at 500, no longer at 500. How, you ask? We lost to the Browns. Horrible game. Here's what I can tell you. Offensive play calling in Tampa Bay has been in shambles. Okay, I'm looking for the right words to say. Somehow Tom is still doing Tom things, but this offensive production is terrific. Okay, so there's no chemistry between Tom and Mike. I don't know what's going on. Okay, if these guys aren't playing like they had last year, the year before that, I'm not sure what the deal is. A lot of it has been Tom, I think, in my personal opinion. I love Tom, but I'm saying this out of love. He's been misleading. See, it's so hard for me because this is weird to talk about. It's not like this is something that we've seen happen many times in Tom's career, let alone with Mike, somebody the caliber of Mike Evans. He's been misleading Mike. There have been some throws that have just been too tall. Like, Tom, you make this throw every other year but this year, okay? So I'm not sure what's going on. There's been a lot of miscues there. Chris Godwin has been a bright spot. He's redeveloping right in front of our eyes at this very moment. He's been coming along strong. He's been phenomenal. It's good to see him back there. Lenny was out for the last game, so that really didn't help at all. We couldn't get our run game going. They were able to get their run game going. Guys, it's so frustrating. The score was 23-17. It was OT. Bucks should have won the game. There's no way around that. I watched the whole game. Bucks should have won it. We beat ourselves. Good job. Hats off to the Browns for taking advantage of it. But we beat ourselves, guys. Horrible coaching. Absolutely horrific time management. I'm not sure exactly. Look. God, it was 33 seconds on the clock. We could have called timeout. We didn't. The next time we had snapped the ball, it was like 18 seconds on the clock, bro. That's like 16 seconds, right? Or something like that. 16 seconds win. It's nuts. That's horrific. I mean, and when you lose games like this, you start looking at the talent, and you're like, okay, look, it's not the talent. It's not the team. It's not the roster. Yeah, we got some injuries. Shaq Barrett. Tristan Wirfs went down. That was horrific. I will talk about that. Matter of fact, I'm going to elaborate. I'm going to shoot on that, guys. I'm going to shoot on that. So first things first. Whoever that Browns player was, you're a freaking idiot. All right? You're a menace to society, and I mean that not in a funny way, in a serious way. You have problems. Because why are you as a defender jumping into the sky like that when you're blitzing? You see what I'm saying? I'm not saying he wasn't trying to play the ball or anything like that. He wasn't in the lane for the ball, so I'm not sure why he was jumping. It's almost like somebody saying freeze and then it's you, but you did nothing wrong. But I gotta admit, dude, that was really, really stupid of you as a blitzing defender to jump. Okay? Just for those who have played football before, understand the mechanics of football. If you're blitzing, if you're stopping and jumping, that means you didn't do your job. All right, so that guy, and as an offensive lineman / defender, when you're defending a quarterback, it would only make sense that you not necessarily slamming the guy down like that, but you're getting him out of the way. I don't necessarily see. I think it was the running back. I think was it Keyshawn Vaughn or Rashad White. I think it was. And threw him down into Tristan Wirfs. So Tristan Wirfs suffered a serious injury. We'll see. I think the X-rays came back negative, but again, damage to tissue and ligaments, things like that. It goes to show you why doing unnecessary stuff is unnecessary. All right. So that's the first thing there. If he's out for the rest of the season, that might be the Bucs season. He's our best offensive lineman. He might be our best overall player, in general, like from a play-to-play standpoint, not from a production, but he's been in the league for 3 years, right? 3 years. But it just bothers me, guys. I apologize for the pause and hesitation, but it bothers me, okay? Now, the next game the Bucs play against be against the Saints on Monday Night Football. It's going to be at 8:15 on December 5th. All right, guys. The Saints are our biggest nemesis, rivalry, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to say. I hope we win. We'll win if we run the ball effectively and control time of possession and control the points. Saints have been playing good football, but that doesn't mean anything. It can change in a heartbeat, right? This division is wide open. Saints win a game, and all of a sudden, the division's all tied up, right? So it's just who knows? If the Bucs lose to the Saints, I agree, bro. If they lose to the Saints, I don't know what to say. at this point, because that would be the last thing that would be on Tampa Bay's mental right now. And going into the team's home, because we're going to New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken, for that game. Yeah. All right. So anyhow, you know what? Look, Bucks. Let's screw everything. Let's run the ball effectively. Let's make these throws easy for Tom. Let's try to keep things simple, and let's not overcomplicate things on defense, right? Because we've been having some guys up and down with injuries there on the defensive backside, and that's the last thing we need and want, all right? Let's move on, huh? Let's move on to something a little bit more brighter in conversation, like those Dolphins, those Miami Dolphins, huh? The one team in Miami that seems to know how to get it done. Tua's back in the lineup, and I mentioned that ever since he joined the lineup, but the point is that I'm making, and I said this before when he was out, Tua is a difference maker. How many games in a row did he won? 5? 5 games in a row? Starting with the Steelers, that was the first game back for Tua. This dude gets injured, comes back, and he's like, oh, y'all forgot? Well, let me show you. Let me remind you. All right? He's got Tyreek Hill looking amazing. What's Tyreek at? 1,200 yards receiving right now? We still got, 8 games to go or something ridiculous? Like, the point is that I'm making it. Whoa! Tua look good, man. Dolphins look good. Dolphins about to play a good team, though. 49ers, man, they're 7-4. It's going down Sunday. This Sunday, or obviously it's this Sunday. Tomorrow is what I mean to say. At 4 or 5, so it's a second-hand game. Won't be a 1 o'clock game. Whatever you guys got going on, you might want to drop it for this one. This one has good game written all over it. It really, really does. It really, really does. Can't wait to see what happens there. Miami looks like they're going to win the division after that last win. And I'm not saying that because the team that they beat was a second. I'm saying it because of the 5-game win streak and the fact that it seems to be everybody's in their crosshairs. All right? They're coming after everything. And they should. Good for them. Keep it up, Miami. You guys look good. That final score, by the way, of that game was 30 to 15, doubling the other team's score. And you guys know how I feel about football. You score more than 20 points. You keep the team under 20 points. That's how you win games. All right. Good job, Dolphins. Can't wait to see you guys what you got to do as the season unfolds. You got the Chargers after the Niners, and I think it's the Bills after the Chargers or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. So, bunch of good games coming up for you guys. I want to watch them. I'm going to try to watch them. We'll see what happens. Good luck. I think you guys can run the tables. Could win the division. You guys win the division. Be the first time in how many years? A decade? Over a decade? 2 decades. Why say a decade? 2 decades? 3 decades? I can't quite remember the last time the Dolphins won it. What is it, year 2000 or something like that? I don't. Anyway, good job, Dolphins. It's good to see you guys doing what you guys are doing right now. Let's move on to the Jaguars. All right, Jaguars, guys. After you guys lost to Kansas City by 10, all right, I was like, guys, look, that's no small feat. Keep Kansas City under 30 points. You guys lost by 10. A couple positions go your way. All of a sudden, y'all win the game. Okay? Then you guys beat the Ravens 28-27. That right there is interesting. That's very interesting to me. And I'm going to tell you why it's interesting to me. Y'all remember I told y'all Trevor Lawrence was a good quarterback, right? Y'all me. He just played the Ravens. The Ravens are usually known for having good defense, okay? They were able to stifle the Bucs. The Bucs aren't playing the best football this year, but it doesn't matter. You still got Tom. You still got Mike. It's still a formidable offensive stop, and they were able to do that to us. I'm going to read to you Trevor Lawrence's stats, okay? Here we go. My boy was 29 of 37, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Guys, if every quarterback did that, they're going to win every game. All right? Now, they won that game in OT because they had no running game. But when Trevor doesn't make any mistakes, look at this, 29 of 37. Guys, he has 8 incomplete passes. Okay? 8 incomplete passes. Guys, that's how you win games. That's how you win games. All right? Good job, Jaguars. Gotta work on the run game. Gotta work on that. All right, receivers. Jones went 11 catches for 145 yards. Gotta build on that. Okay? Again, run the football. Run it well. So that way Trevor can still have those stats, right? But the score of the game isn't 28-27, right? It's more like 31-34, 14-17. You see what I'm saying? 34-20. You see what I'm saying? Comfortable, where you're not sitting there like, oh my God, we won. We pulled it out. 2008 was the last time Dolphins won the division. So that's what, a decade and a half ago, give or take? And 22 about to be in 23. Carry it 2. That's a 5 right there. Yeah, that's like 15 years ago, dude. That's nuts. All right. So, yeah, but shout out to the Dolphins. Keep doing what y'all doing. But real quick, back to the Jags. Jags are 4-7 on the season. Season's not dead yet. Season's not dead yet, especially in the division y'all are in, guys. All right, crazy. Run the ball. Run the ball. Play slightly better defense, but run the ball, guys. Make Trevor Lawrence's life a little bit easier. You'll win more games that way. You guys win out. All of a sudden, there's a conversation to be had. This might be the first time in a long time, as I'm looking at some of these notes, right, that the best team in Florida, from the NFL perspective, is the Miami Dolphins, and they actually have the best roster. That's starting to quickly become the case as I'm looking down, right? Look at the Jaguars. They spent, $180 million in the offseason, right? Picking up these free agents. That's the part that's kind of blowing me up a little bit. You have the Buccaneers won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, but yet I'm looking at stats and I'm looking at the teams and I'm looking at what's going on in their production and their work and what they're able to accomplish, what they have in the bag. And I'm telling you guys right now, the Dolphins, they do look scared. They are handling work. They are handling business very, very well. And the teams that they have in their win-losses aren't too shabby. At all, because it includes the Bills, right? It includes actual good teams. This is going to be interesting, guys. It's going to be real interesting to see how the rest of the season wraps up, because, again, we could be sitting here saying that the best team, the best roster in Florida is not a team who won a Super Bowl 2 years ago or a team who spent $180 million of cap in the offseason picking up free agents. Think about that, guys. Think about those two. Super Bowl, the most money ever spent in the offseason. Neither one of those teams are representing Florida as the best team. That's crazy, guys. That's crazy. Let's go ahead and get into this last break. When we bounce back, we'll go ahead and cover the rest of the sports that we have. Unfortunately, obviously, again, there's no more Rays, so there's not going to be any Rays baseball to cover. There's not going to be any college football to cover, but we'll still have plenty of things to talk about, such as basketball and also the Bolts, man. They're waking up, so we'll talk about that as soon as we come back. Again, I am your host, Corey Pujols, and you're listening to Palm Tree Sports on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' in NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' in NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
Alrighty, you guys, welcome back to this episode of Palm Tree Sports, hosted by me, Corey Pujols, and of course, it's brought to you by iSports Radio, direct feed for all the sports. Alright, guys, final segment we got today. is going to go to the rest of the teams we have to cover, which will be the Bolts, the Heat, and the Magic. Bolts, hockey. They're doing really good, guys. They're doing really, really good, actually. They're obviously not the best team right now in hockey. Still a little bit ways away from that, but as you would expect, they're getting through the early season jitters and starting to figure out who they are as an identity. There's been a couple of losses on the recent, the last time we talked about that couple of game win streak. I think it was 4-game win streak, 3 games, something like that. And we're sitting at 14-8. We're at third place, all right, in the East. Won the last game, lost the game before that. And more Bolts stuff, as you would imagine. And there was a little bit of a joke that was made by the announcer about one of our players. I can't remember the name. I only caught a whip of the story of what was going on. But let me just say this: if you're an announcer, it's not like you're doing a podcast or a radio show, right? Like this is different. There's a standard. There's a part of your job that you have to do well, and that's beyond your biasness, right? So, for instance, I'll give you an example. Ronnie Barber covers some of the Tampa Bay Buccaneer games. He'll often talk about his time and love for Tampa Bay, but he'll never let that keep him from making sure that he's putting his foot down when Tampa Bay's not doing well and address the issue, especially from the vantage point that he can see it of being a player, a commentator, and maybe one day a coach, because he does have a brilliant mind for the game. For those who don't know, the Barber brothers are great. How do you say that? That when they prepare well, they're very good at preparing well. I'll just say it like that. Those guys watch a ton of tape. So whenever Ronnie's pointing something out, there would be well within, anybody who's paying attention's jurisdiction to listen and to take heed to what he's saying. The point is, what I'm saying is, if when you're a hockey commentator, it shouldn't be any different. You shouldn't be mocking anybody. You shouldn't be making fun of anybody. If you're addressing something that could have been done better, then that's what you do. It's called constructive criticism, but to openly mock and to make fun of somebody, that's kind of beyond me, and I don't agree with it. With that being said, Bolts have the Maple Leafs coming up. It's tonight, I believe it is, at 7. So, 18 minutes they'll be playing on the East Coast is where I'm at, guys. So, they'll be playing the second best team in the East. The Maple Leafs are game up on the Rays. The Bolts, they're 15-5 right now. Again, the Bolts are 14-8. So, winning this game would, obviously help put us in a better position to go ahead and take that second spot and reach to the first spot, hopefully. But, third ain't that bad at all. Like, we're looking good. We're doing good. We just got to keep playing well, and we got to continue to win these puck games, I should say, guys. And because you guys know how I feel about that, regardless of what your sport is, you got to win those one-possession games. Got to. That's the mark between the difference of a good team and a great team, right? So, good job, Bolts. Keep doing what you're doing. Nothing else really to report on that end. Again, just a little frustrated with how some of the commentary goes for the team. And again, if it's constructive criticism, let it be just that. But let's not make fun of anybody, right? Let's not start anything. No need to do that. No need to be ugly, right? Let's be good. Let's spread cheer around. With that being said, we're going to move on to basketball. We're going to talk about the Heat real quick. The Heat are 11-12, all right? They were 10-12 before that, so trying to get back to 500, okay? Good win in overtime against Boston. Outshot them, outproduced them. That's what you want to do. You guys have to continue to build on that. Obviously, you're not dead in the water, but guys, you don't want to be playing like this when the All-Star break comes around. You really don't want to, because it's going to be do or die after that, and you'll be looking the next season like, okay, who can we get to make this team better, make this roster better? That's not where you want to be swimming, especially with the roster that we have. I say this every week in Miami, guys. With that being said, we'll see what happens next. Next game is at the Grizzlies. That's Monday, December 5th at 8 p.m. I'll probably catch a little bit of that game, to be honest with you guys. I'll probably go between that and Monday Night Raw if I decide to watch Raw, that is. I may just watch the game, actually. We'll see what happens, because, no, scratch that. December 5th is Monday, and Bucks play Monday. Look at me, guys. Look, I'm all over the place. Help me. Oh, man. We're all over the place. So, Monday's going to be a heck of a night, guys. We got, you got the NBA basketball, Heat, Grizzlies. That's going to be a phenomenal game, I think, in my opinion. Ja Morant's playing phenomenal basketball. He's been playing phenomenal basketball since he got in the league. So can't wait to see that kid ball out. Of course, Miami, hope we do well. Got to get the 500, right? And go from there. Again, the Bucks are playing on Monday night, too. So, guys, pay attention, because there's going to be a lot of action Monday night. A lot of action Monday night. The Magic, all right? They play next against the Raptors. That game, I think, is tomorrow night. I had it up and then I lost. I think that one's tomorrow night, guys. So, we'll see how that game goes. Of course, the Magic are still in the same boat they've been in before with a very young team. They have to find a way to produce, find a way to score points, and keep teams from scoring points. They're 5-8 team on the season. It was never going to be easy for them. It was never going to be a promising. What are you going to call like the way the Grizzlies are playing, right? Like, you can't expect that kind of production when you have such a young team, and that young team doesn't have its identity yet. Like I said, when you have a team that doesn't know if they're a defensive team, if they're a scoring team, if they're in transition team, if they're a post-up team, or if they're an option team, we don't know what this team has to offer. I'll give you an example, like the Golden State Warriors. We know there's a team full of sharpshooters, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to play good defense, they're going to train their shots, and they're going to hit you where it counts. They're going to play inside the paint and destroy you on the outside. Bing. Bing. Just gave you, Golden State in a heartbeat, right? They give you another team. Let's talk about Chicago, right? Chicago just has weapons everywhere. They just have guys that can do a little bit of everything all over the place. Headline. You have these players. Everybody can shoot. Most of them know how to play defense. You got plenty of people who know how to lead a team, and that means that your first team and your second team shouldn't be lacking in offensive production standpoint. They're not. It's an example of what I mean. Orlando still has yet to figure out who they are from that perspective. If they're going to be a shooting team that plays good defense, be a shooting team that plays good defense. If you guys are going to be an in-transition team that controls possessions and keeps the ball out of the enemy's best players' hands, then play that kind of basketball. I believe that's how Boston plays. Again, Boston's another team that's like that, where they have a lot of potential all over the place, right? Their big men can shoot. Their little guys can play defense. Nobody's safe in a one-on-one. That's what you want to identify as, Orlando. Got to work on that. Got to develop that. That's what you guys have the potential to be, but you guys have to work at it and let this season serve as a good crack to be able to produce further on down the line, hopefully after the break, and then continuing on into next year. Miami, everybody's got to get healthy again and play with confidence, guys. That's all I can tell you. Get healthy again, play with confidence. That's the best bet for Miami, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me in on this episode of Palm Tree Sports. Before I go, I'll let you guys, I'll run you guys one more bit of information. For those who didn't know, there is a fight night tonight for the UFC. It's going to be a decent card. A couple of headliners will be fighting. RDA, for those who don't know, Rafael Dos Anjos is fighting tonight. Tai Tuivasa, the Aussie, he's fighting tonight. That should be a good fight. And then also the main event is going to be, it's going to be Wonder Boy Stephen Thompson versus Kevin Holland. Both of these guys are tremendous strikers. There's probably not going to be much wrestling in this fight, so I would encourage you guys to tune if you like martial arts. I do. I train. I love it. So for any of those who are interested or haven't watched it before or do love it, there you go. That is also tonight. Guys, have fun. There's a few more games going on. Football game, college football game still going on, of course, all through the night. I think it is the last night for championship games before we head into ball game season. So thank you guys so much for joining me here on this episode of Palm Tree Sports. Again, my name is Corey Pujols. You'll catch me here every week, same place, same time, on ICE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all the sports. Find me on Twitter, at Corey Pujols. Run your conversations. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Let me know what you guys are thinking about the show or about any of the teams that I mentioned before, or anything even off topic. I talk anything with any of you guys. Let me know. I really appreciate everything, and I will catch you guys on the next time. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Davidson.
It's your boy, Notorious Lock.
And we are the hosts of Fast Break here on IE Sports Radio, where we discuss everything in the world of basketball from prep to the pros.
You guys should definitely check us out, man. Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. We got all the basketball information you guys need, so we look forward to you guys listening in.
And please do, because we are the best basketball show on this side of the Mississippi. And please do check us out on Twitter at FastBreakISR. D-Lock, where's our time again?
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That gives you guys plenty of time on a Sunday.
Tune in.